What's going on, guys? Welcome to another Blacklist. It's a bit quiet. I'm wondering if the apocalypse has already started, as Pilgrim G quite rightly pointed out. Scott, are you still with us? Are you still alive? Don't do this, Scott.
No, I think I'm alive.
Tragic.
I think.
I'm live on Facebook at the exact same time right now to raise awareness for the fact that we are live right now over on YouTube. So I'm going to end the live broadcast on Facebook now that I have your attention. Come join us over on YouTube for the next hour for a... Well, I'm not going to say an hour of fun because who knows where this will go. But just come find us, come watch us. We'll be there waiting for you as we discuss zombies and Rob Zombie and, as Scott said, the original zombie. Jesus Christ. We'll see you over on YouTube. Cheers. Right. Hello, everybody. Sorry, that's rude, wasn't it? Talking to my other live stream whilst this live stream was just rolling.
You just did. Two-time in. What can you say?
Daff.
Daff's sort of in between the car, the phone, and he'll be there, I think. About the moment, he's a purple Discord logo.
I was going to say, he's looking a bit blue. It was going to be a hilarious joke.
I quite like the idea that the Discord logo looks a bit like a Space Invader.
Mm.
I have many a fun hour blasting that kind of looking thing on Space Invaders, I have to say.
I saw a meme earlier, and it said, like, choose your starting... like controller from where you started out in gaming, and I had like a little moment of like pride that I could pick like the one that it listed as the first ever. I was like, yeah, I started on that, and then I was like, oh man, I'm old.
Wow. I mean, I remember the Olympic game where you used to have to bash the button to make the guy run. They hadn't even realised that if you made the person automatically run, just press to jump, that was more fun. So you literally had to hammer it to make him run. It was, it was abusive to your fingers, I have to say. No good for guitar players now. It never happened.
Well, now they got the Wii. Well, I mean, even the Wii's really old now. I remember playing like games like Mario Party on the GameCube, where you like have to spin the analog stick really fast, and it would literally burn the skin off the palm of your hands.
Yeah. I didn't do that, but there are certain types of controls that they've definitely learned that you shouldn't do because they're not fun. Although on the flip side of that, I remember playing, I think it might have been Mario Galaxy 2 on the Wii U, quite specifically here. And that was the one that didn't really take off very well with the massive controller you could put on the floor and stuff and do other things. But that had like a microphone on it. And on certain levels, they had wind fans and you had to literally blow and make... It was the most funnest thing ever. I have never controlled a sprite by blowing. So I can now say that I have blown Mario up many levels, which is a nice thing.
There we go.
Especially when he's being played by Chris Pratt, of course, you know. So does that mean I've vicariously destroyed Jack Black and blown Chris Pratt? I don't know.
Who doesn't want to blow Chris Pratt, I guess, is what we're saying.
I don't know. Is Chris Pratt married? I would assume that Mrs. Pratt or Mr. Pratt might want to, but I don't know.
I don't know. I thought at one point he was married. Wasn't he married to Anna Faris or something at one point? I could be like well off the mark there.
I got no idea. I don't know who's married to who. I know I'm married to you. That's all I know.
That's true. This is true.
We should say good evening, Pilgrim G, Neil 66, Kaz, Black Sunshine, welcome, Suzi Boots. I don't know whether you've got a day off, Black Sunshine, or you're able to join us at the UK 8 p.m. But lovely to have you right from the get-go.
Indeed.
And Dav, I think, is now turned into two dancing squares.
It's an impressive trick. It's got to be said.
Yeah, I think is it actually. Either it's Dav or he's, taken far too many drugs and that's actually his eyes right now.
He's just sat in the dark.
One or the other. I'm sure he'll arrive imminently. And as you know, Will, because we spoke about it, I suppose we could talk about the Black Sunday is permanently off at the moment. It's the best kind of thing. I reckon there's still more money in being currently without a job than there is in music, though. So, you're still going to be... richer than most musicians on the planet, unless you're, I guess, Metallica or Ed Sheeran or a few others. But
go stream our album a couple more times, everybody.
So, as a non-zombie apocalypse fan and a non-zombie fan in general, surrounded by the constant love of zombies and zombie apocalypse with nearly everyone I know and all of my friends. What am I missing, Will? Explain to me the appeal of the zombie apocalypse and why I should get on board with this thing that everyone else seems to love but leaves me very cold.
I think, well, there's two things to enjoy. Well, in fact, I go as far as to say there's three things to enjoy about the zombie apocalypse film. You've got there's two different distinct paths you can take with your zombies. Mm-hmm. You've got your definitely scary, definitely a threat zombie.
Yeah.
And that can make for one kind of film. You've got your definitely a threat but overall kind of limp and a bit funny zombie.
Yeah. A comical zombie.
So that's another kind of film.
Or even a zomedy, you could even go that far.
A zomedy, you could go with a zomedy, or a rom-zom if you were feeling so inclined. And then, what would that be? A zom-com, I suppose. Who knows?
It'd be a zom-com, I think, rather, because I think Shaun of the Dead is a rom-zom-com, isn't it? Whereas I think a zom-com, I think, is more frequent than a rom-zom-com. I think there are fewer of those.
Fewer. Well, I'm not going to go and find out.
Yeah.
But the third thing I like is that actually, if you look at things like The Walking Dead as a series, you know, it's very grounded in its setting of being a post-apocalyptic, you know, world.
Yeah.
Filled with flesh-eating zombies, but actually, by series 3, the zombies are such a back part of what's going on in the story that it's all about the human interaction in a post-apocalyptic world and how people treat each other. That's what's actually interesting.
I think you've actually enabled me, though, to understand why I don't like zombie apocalypse. So hang on. No, there's a genuine answer to this. I'm not. That wasn't a diss, so to speak. It's because I absolutely adore post-apocalyptic films, but then I don't like threat. So I like the post-apocalypse world where everyone's absolutely, totally, and utterly screwed, and it's basically then about survival. So those I enjoy, starting with Planet of the Apes. Although you could argue that the apes were kind of a threat, but not really. So I reckon that's it. Because I feel like the zombies ruin my post-apocalyptic world. Because I'd love the idea of there being nobody around, and I could just then go out and live on my wits. That sounds quite appealing. Whereas the idea of doing that whilst also being chased by someone that wants to eat my brains, it's suddenly less appealing. So I think it kind of ruins my post-apocalyptic dream.
There's a film on Netflix called Love and Monsters, I think.
Okay, right.
It's about like a world in which massive monsters, I think it's called Love and Monsters, I could be wrong, massive monsters have like taken over, so all human life that's left are forced to live like underground in bunkers, and they communicate via CB radio, and and like basically the key to survival is you just don't go outside your bunker. Because there's all these different kinds of not zombies, all these kind of monsters that can destroy you in different lovely ways. And then the whole premise of the film is guy meets girl on CB radio and decides one day, fuck it, I'm going to go to her bunker, and it's his like journey to get there and stuff.
Nice.
It's pretty good. Like, I mean, maybe not for a guy who doesn't like threat, but
yeah, but what I mean is cool. Like love conquers all, even the impending threat of zombie.
Yeah,
I like that.
You should check that out.
Well, I think you were poised to say something on my my feeling that the zombie apocalypse is ruined primarily by the content of zombie.
Yeah, well, I think what you're saying is the less fantasy it is, the more real it is. Like, I think there's more chance of the world being laid to waste by something and then just it being left barren and being left for survival. There's something real in that, isn't it? Rather than having... Yeah,
I know what you mean. I think you're right. But also, it's not the realism that appeals to me. It's the fact that nobody has to deal with any of this like admin bullshit anymore. Like in a post-apocalyptic world, no one's asking you to renew your car insurance. That's the kind of level of awesomeness that I'm looking forward to. You know what I mean? There's no like, I've got to go and do my tax, or I've got to put my bins out. You know, it's like, fuck that. How do I eat today? And I kind of like the simplicity of that, if you know what I mean. I find that quite appealing.
You like Mad Max?
Again, a lot of threat in that, though. A lot of guys and a lot of vehicles trying to spear me and or spike me and or capture me. So
I don't think they're coming for you in Chepstow. I think you'll be all right. You got a castle. You got a castle you can board up in. You'll be fine.
Don't let my secrets out. But yeah, I quite enjoyed I, Legend with Will Smith because primarily there's very few zombies in it. and it's mostly about him trying to keep his dog alive.
But there are zombies,
But when,
right?
There are zombies eventually, but they're very unscary zombies. They're crap, I think.
But you say about the realism thing.
they are
Like,
zombies,
what
they
about...
are very much a threat.
Oh, sorry, mate. Go on.
Well, no, I was just going to say when there are zombies in I Am Legend, they are a threat. They are pretty crap, but
Yeah, they are a threat indeed. So I like Shaun of the Dead because obviously the zombies are a comical threat, and if they were slow and it was very easy for me to get a spade and deal with them, I'm kind of alright with that because the level of threats.
or an LP.
Or an LP, but only certain LPs. Certain LPs couldn't be.
Oh yeah.
I'd
It's an original pressing.
Yeah, I'd rather become a zombie than lose certain types of vinyl. I have to. To be honest. Yeah, and equally, I think most of your collection should not be wasted on a zombie.
I was going to say, that's ironic, because I'd rather become a zombie than listen to half your collection. Ha
What, mine or Dav's? Who are you insulting there?
Probably yours, because you've got some more sad bastard music. Daft's just got more like 80s metal I don't know about.
I don't know, my vinyl is pretty non-sad bastard, actually, strangely. Because my music taste is very much sad bastard. But my vinyl is more like Dav's, it's more 80s rock and metal. There's very little sad bastard in my record collection, if I'm honest.
James has just popped up in the chat. I can't believe you chose my specialist subject, the zombie apocalypse, when I can't make it, you bastards.
But obviously can make it because he's texting, so surely it's not that much of a stretch to then click a button to join. And again, James is another one of my friends who absolutely adores the zombie apocalypse and loves everything about it. And yeah. So, Blacklist. Zombie apocalypse. I love it. Zombie apocalypse. Surely we've had enough of it by now. What have we had? The Walking Dead, I, Legend. Obviously, isn't there a Rob Zombie film, Zombieland?
Zombieland's not Rob Zombie, but yeah, Zombieland and Zombieland 2, which I only watched for the first time 2 nights ago and very much enjoyed.
Quick question: does A Quiet Place count as a zombie apocalypse, or is that Alien Apocalypse? Is that different?
I don't know. I've not seen it.
I quite liked it. It was all right. I watched it the other day. It was all right.
I think it was banging. I love Quiet Place.
Yeah, I thought
what was the Brad Pitt
I wouldn't
film?
say it's
World War Z.
World War Z isn't also zombies as well, I think.
That's a good one.
There we go.
Tell you what, it's not a zombie film. Technically, it's sort of more in the realm of like messed up sort of like religion. What's the word? Like apocalypse sort of stuff, or like rapture sort of based. But I loved it. Legion. Do you ever see Legion?
I have seen Legion. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Got
love
Paul
that.
Bettany in it, isn't it?
Yeah.
That was full on. I also enjoyed it. It was very dark, very good film.
What's Paul Bettany? Who's Paul Bettany?
Vision from Avengers. If you want to take his monk.
Yeah.
But also the albino monk from Dan, whatever his face is, doing the Angels and Demons, whatever his guy is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's in that. But a similar kind of religious zealot, crazy man in Legion. But again, the Legion's a lot closer to the Crow, I guess. But a little bit of Mad Max put into as well. Kind of like Wasteland guy going around doing things semi-religiously to exercise people. But it was good. I remember it being good. And him being quite a bad ass kind of character.
So I'm assuming you've not seen 28 Days Later then, Scott?
I have seen 28 Days Later, yeah.
Did you not enjoy that at all because of the threat?
It just bored me. What I liked about 28 Days Later was the theme tune. That was awesome.
It's good.
Loved the music.
Good.
Music was amazing. We should definitely come out to that on stage.
Well,
that should be our the Ecstasy of Gold version.
Those opening shots of London where there's no one there, that's quite reminiscent of when we walk out on stage, like when you look out at the venue. So that would fit really well.
Absolutely. A couple of things to pick up in the Blacklist. Evelyn apologising for being late, and I'm afraid Evelyn's unacceptable. You need to buy a watch. So if you could leave now, please, that would be good, and never darken our door of being late again.
Leave now and wait till we release the Black Lakes watch, and then you can join after you bought the Black Lakes watch.
Could you imagine, right, being a live band that genuinely had beef with people coming into the show after you started and doing the whole, like, comedian, excuse me, we've been playing for 10 minutes.
It'd be like the opposite of Guns N' Roses. You'd refuse
to
play
arrive
on until
time?
the late people left.
You want to come in here and disturb everybody enjoying the show? Can you not just... Again, if people could understand we were being ironic, that'd be pretty funny, but I don't think anyone would get it, and that would be probably fatal to our burgeoning career.
Indeed.
So I love zombies. Don't forget video games too. You've got Dead Island, Fallout, and Metro. Again, don't recall if I've ever played a zombie apocalypse video game, unless Super Mario counts.
The king of zombie video games is Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2.
Yeah.
They are amazing.
Oh, absolutely. I love those games. I love Dead Island as well. Like I've still got
I found it a bit
OG
slow.
Dead Island.
Yeah.
You are?
You found it a bit slow.
Dead Island?
Yeah.
Oh, well, compared to Left 4 Dead, anything is slow. Like,
Yeah.
to be fair, like...
Yeah.
I can't comment. I have no frame of reference with these games. Do they have Mario in them?
Yeah, every now and again you go, wahoo!
Wahoo! Oh, zombie! Oh. Yeah. Okay, parts filmed in Wales, Neil 66. I don't know which one of the many zombie films and or video games you talked about that's referring to. Suzi Boots said, I'm not actually that fussed on zombie films, but I've watched World War Z more than once. I've never seen World War Z, I'm sorry. And in the interest of international understanding, World War Z, as I'm sure it's called in the States.
You got to watch World War Z, because you know how they look to cure the zombie virus in the world?
I can't remember.
No.
They go to Cardiff University Hospital to try and find the cure.
They do, yeah.
I'm immediately loving that. All right, and Neil 66 is now coming in with World War Z, so... And it's got Brad Pitt in it. There we go. Maybe that is my gateway zombie apocalypse film drug.
That's it. Brad Pitt is like, the world's going to shit, man. These zombies, they're so quick. What do? We got to go to Cardiff.
Yeah.
It's like...
I'm loving the idea that there are Welsh zombies. I'm immediately on board. I love that.
Right, but...
All right, bud. Oh, you're a zombie now,
Brains,
bud. Oh. My favourites will always be The Return of the Living Deads. I have no idea what that is. Will, you'll have to help me out.
Don't know.
I assume that's a film, but I think
know.
Deb's zombie level of knowledge and fandom probably goes quite deep. She strikes me as quite a keen zombie fan.
Yeah.
Is there a name for a zombie fan? Do you become a I don't know. How could you mix fan and like addict and zombie together? A zaddict or I don't know. There needs to be a new term for someone who's a fan of zombies.
With the coin something.
In a House and a Heartbeat. I assume that's another film. I have no idea. There we go. World War Z was filmed in Blaenau Ffestiniog. Sorry, I should let you have a go at that first, Will. Do you want to read Shelley Halley's comment?
Yeah, it says World War Z was filmed in Blaenau Ffestiniog.
Nice, well done, Will. Excellent effort.
Thanks.
World War Z was partly filmed in Glasgow. 80s movies. Yeah. So again, I don't remember any zombie films from the 80s. But again, maybe I wasn't paying attention. Went into Potters on a Saturday morning in Newport. It all seemed like zombies. Again, I've never...
Yeah.
And that is an interesting conversation. Where have you been where the people are actually alive, but it feels like zombies? Yeah, that's pretty good.
Work.
Yeah, yeah. Most people in my place seem to be alive. I'm trying to think of
So
situations.
you work from home.
Yeah,
It's just you.
Yes, Neil, I agree. The song from 28 Days Later is an absolute doozy. That is my favourite element of the zombie apocalypse discussion so far. Is the fact that 28 Days Later has a banging theme tune. Is it also the same thing in 28 Weeks Later, which I never watched?
Yes, the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, all the films I think of, like Live, Die, Repeat. Again, I think I'm crossing my zombie with my Alien apocalypse because that's
I
about
have
Alien.
not seen that. That's a Tom Cruise.
That's really good. Yeah, Tom Cruise. And have you got a thing against Emily Blunt? Because she's also in The Quiet Place as well.
I don't want to start beef with anyone on the blacklist.
Yeah,
don't make out like I'm suddenly gonna like shine a light
got-
on my beef with Emily Blunt. No, I have no
You got a
issue.
problem with Emily Blunt? I mean, have you seen Gulliver's Travels? She's in that too. So if you've missed that, you're missing out.
I mean, like we haven't been talking, but like that's because we don't know each other, not because we've fallen out.
That's a quality film. That is. Has anyone seen Gulliver's Travels? The Jack Black, Emily Blunt, and Jason Segel, where Jack Black is basically Gulliver and arrives on another island. It's pretty awful, but you know, if you can accept that it's awful, it's great.
Is it that famous zombie apocalypse film with Jack Black and...
Yes, I've got nothing to offer in terms of I've seen Shaun of the Dead on obviously 28 Days Later, and I Am Legend. Never seen The Walking Dead. I've watched 2 episodes of The Last of Us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of
that was
zombie.
that was a bit fungal for my taste. I was like, I'm not sure I'm into this.
That's such a great sentence. It's a bit fungal for my taste.
It's a bit there's too much fungus going on. I'm like, whoa, I'm not sure I'm down with this fungus stuff. Let me go and put Star Wars on instead. I'm in safer territory, I feel, in there. But yeah, it was enjoyable, to be fair. Even The Mandalorian was helping me because obviously he's in it, so that helps.
Yes.
Yeah. So me every morning, I'm alive, but basically a zombie. That's a very good point. I have to say that probably most of my household would also suggest that my zombifiedness is very much between the hours of waking up and about midday.
That was me today after like what, 6.5 hours of skills workshop. Oh, it's brilliant.
Yeah, indeed. Did you stay awake?
Yeah. Moggs genuinely fell asleep at one point. It was quite funny.
Yeah, that's properly zombified.
Yeah, he was proper zombified. He's like, and then he woke up. He realized some guy was looking at him right in the head. So he was just like drifting off, and then like he realized this guy was looking at him, and he was just like, yeah.
Absolutely. Now I've got a question for you both in a second there as well. Work for me as I work with the public, and as a librarian. Oh, you poor bastard. I was standing with my logo polo shirt. I assume that was the Blacklist logo. Logo fleece, ID badge, and walkie-talkie. Oh, I see. I was asked, do you work here? I have an equal thing with the doctors as well, where you go into the doctors and they say, can I help you? It's like, no. I just thought I'd come into the doctors with this massive gaping wound in my head or thirdly like it, or I'm in crutches. Like, I know that it's probably no other question to ask, but to me it seems like a very stupid question to ask someone in a doctor's or a hospital. How can I help you? Can you make me better, please? That's how this transaction works.
Well, how would you rather it? Would you rather walk in and go, all right, fuck's wrong with you then?
Yeah, I mean, I'd feel a little bit more comfortable. And or what particularly is the problem today, or why have you come into the doctors today? You know, not how can I help you? Oh, you know, have you got any chewing gum?
But what if you've simply popped in to find out what their opening hours are?
Are you going to go in the doctors to find out what time they're open, or are you going to Google that shit?
You've lost your phone. You've lost your phone. You know you've got a doctor's appointment coming up. Right. You're worried that you can't remember what time your appointment is. You saved it on your phone, which you've stupidly misplaced.
I accept that premise entirely.
You were running from a massive horde of zombies. You dropped your phone, but you knew that you had to get your bloods taken at a certain point.
Absolutely. And then what I would say to you is, what percentage of people do you think go into the doctors for the opening hours rather than an actual ailment?
I mean, last time I went to the doctors, someone turned up that didn't have an appointment or anything. They didn't even know who they were. It was very interesting to watch.
Wow. That's quite impressive. Hello, who are you? Don't know. What's wrong with you? I don't know.
Pretty much, yeah. They were in there. They were there for a long time, just talking to the wall.
Wow, I've not seen that, but I have enjoyed at times with other people playing the game Crazy Person or Hands Free. But that was much earlier on in the beginnings of Hands Free because it wasn't that popular yet. So it's like, is that person talking to themselves or are they on the phone? Like, what do you decide?
I was trying to think of a game that involved you being the crazy person that was just annoyingly touching people in the waiting room.
No, I don't touch people in the waiting room. I barely want to touch
the receptionist. Be like, "How can I help you?" And you'll be like, "Yeah, can you get this fucking guy off me, please?"
I enjoyed The Last of Us. Was worth a binge watch. I'm too in. I'm sure I'll finish it at some point. I've got sucked back in by Star Wars again. What about Maximum Overdrive? World gets taken over by all things technological, including cars, lorries, and even hairdryers. Soundtrack is amazing also. That very much sounds like my sort of film.
That sounds like it has to have been made in the 80s.
Oh, of course it does. Absolutely.
It sounds like Transformers. It's like Transformers. Yeah. What is that?
I'm totally on board with the machine apocalypse. You know, Terminator, iRobot. I love every minute of every one of those things. Machine apocalypse, I'm down. Vampire apocalypse, I'm down. I seem to have a specific beef with zombies. So I'm clearly zombist. I just can't. I am zombist. I am a zombist.
You need to watch Disney's Zombies 2, and now out on Disney Plus, Zombies 3. That's all about the inequalities between zombies and humans and how they bridge those gaps.
Sorry, I was just reading Shirley's comment. Come here, honey bunny. This cash machine called me an asshole. That's the best line from that film. I like the idea of that. Oh, have you seen Chris Rock do that bit about a cash machine after 2 a.m.? basically that nobody gets money out after 2 a.m. for anything good. So he's saying that the cash machine should come with a warning. God, you sure? You sure you want to take this money? This can't be good. It's 2:30 in the morning. What do you want that money for? So I think that would be good to have, some kind of AI that's like, I'm sorry, Dave. It's 3:30 a.m., Dave. You can't have that money, Dave.
Speaking of Dave Earls just put zombie films are a dead end. I mean, he's been very quiet for a long time in the chat, so I'm disappointed to feel like he probably spent that a long time thinking of that pun.
Oh no, I think he was just making sure his timing was right. I enjoyed that, Dave. I enjoyed a dead end zombie. That is nice. OST of Return of the Dead films are fantastic. Again, I don't know what those are. Sorry. What is OST?
Original soundtrack.
I see. Of Return of the Dead. There we are. Oh, good. Yes. I think Lee also... Basically what we need to do is maybe in a few minutes cut Zombie Apocalypse short for part 1 and then return for part 2. Because I know...
There's the cover of Lee's Cremulation EP. It is people rising from the dead.
Well, I was about to say that I think both Lee and James, I feel, would have a huge amount to offer on this topic, and neither of them are here. So we should probably give them definitely the Zombitunity to discuss their zombie love. Because I know I've never seen Reanimator, but I've seen it in Lee's house. That's where he injects the things. That's where Avenged Sevenfold got the bat. That's the first time I ever saw a head with a bat's wings on it flying around a room. So I think he injects things with a yellow liquid and it brings them back from the dead.
Of course.
So Harris is well into that shit. So I'm sure right now, Debs, if Lee was here, he'd be like, "Oh my days, Return of the Dead, absolutely blah 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 blah."
I love the idea that you could possibly picture Lee saying, "Oh my days."
Yeah, that would happen. That would actually happen.
Rather than just like taking a sip and going, "Yeah, it was good. That was."
Yeah. No, that's about as enthusiastic as he gets. So yeah, maybe
zombie films. Yeah.
It's all right.
Cool.
I need to work on my impressions, but yeah. But yeah, no, I don't think any of the 80s horror films I watched would have counted either, would they? Nightmare on Elm Street, that's not zombies. Halloween, not zombies. Friday the 13th, not zombies. It seemed much more of a 90s 2000s thing. The zompocalypse. Zompocalypse, is that a thing? Is that a word?
It was a thing, I think.
Yeah, zompocalypse. I'm sure somebody's put those two words together at some point.
I'm sure they have. So Dave Earl in the chat, as I saw him and just spoke about him, I just wanted to point out that Dave actually came at us with a serious topic for conversation.
He did.
About promotion. And I think I've seen him raise the point a few times now, and that is why is he always seeing certain bands appearing in his Facebook feed and we're not one of them? And I think we've sort of tried to answer it a couple of times in various comments, but to break it down to brass tacks, as it were, the answer is just simply money. The way to get seen on Facebook is to continue to pump money in. We've done various campaigns with a company called Hold Tight, a guy called Darren, who's an absolute legend.
And in no way a zombie.
And in no way a zombie, thankfully.
Very much.
I was going to say, I hope he's still alright, but he emailed me today actually out of the blue, so I know he's not a zombie as of today. But yeah, it involves so much money. So much money. Not only were we paying Darren for his expertise in how he helped us push various promotions, but we also had to then pay for everything that Darren did with the promotions. So all the money that went through Facebook, all the money that went through Instagram or YouTube or whatever. So it becomes very expensive, and I think most of the bands that you see on your Facebook stream are being pushed by someone with a financial interest. Effectively.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
Well, also understanding, Dave, because you're already a fan of the band, the algorithms will probably not push us to you because it realizes you're already a fan. So, for example, we had a fairly big campaign, and as far as I know, I was the only person that got hit by our own campaign, and that was on a system which didn't realize, obviously, I was in the band, etc. So It's a combination of those factors. It's not that we haven't Facebook advertised; we absolutely have, and when we will, I'm sure, again in the future. But it annoyingly won't push bands that you like to people that are already involved. Unfortunately, it tries to push them towards people that aren't already involved, which is kind of the point, I guess. So
Yeah.
So yeah, you may get lucky enough to come across a Blacklist advert at some point. But like I say, I've only ever seen one.
Well, the worst thing is, Facebook even asks you, if you go to set up adverts on Facebook, it says like, oh, who do you want to target with this? And one of the options is your fans. Like, so actually, you can see straight away that the people that press like or follow or whatever the hell they change it to next on our page still don't see half the stuff we put out, because Facebook restricts that behind a paywall. It never used to be like that back in the early wild west of Facebook. A page, if you liked it, you got everything, but they realized very quickly that wasn't going to make them enough money.
Yeah. So in other words, Dave, ironically enough, they actually want us to pay to make sure you get all of the news that you want from us. Welcome to Facebook, mate.
It was literally that was a whole subject in that workshop that I was in today, like from the perspective of a music venue, but they talked about it in terms of maybe a band manager or a band booking agent, or as a venue using online advertising. Some of these venues have teams or people who they hire and pay a salary just to figure out what goes on with Facebook advertising every day, because it changes almost every day and it does something different every day. So like I don't know why that is, but
it's a money
essentially you can drop all the money into it and you can pick your demographic however you like, but depending on how the system is working that day, you might do really well, you might do really bad. Just really got me thinking about that. But yeah, obviously you can pick your demographics, so you can put all your money into it, and sometimes you will get bands advertised to you or products like advertised to you based on that. But like they pay people serious money just to figure out what's going on with it on that particular day. It's nuts.
And again, I don't want to, and it probably already is starting to come across as a bit of a kick the boot into Facebook, which it probably deserves a little bit, but we're not ungrateful. We will continue to push and succeed despite all of that. But yeah, the reality is that if you want to be seen on Facebook, even by your own fans these days, that costs money. You have to pay.
Clarify that it's not just a Facebook issue. I mean,
no, God, no. Yeah, no. Instagram.
Instagram's owned by Facebook nowadays, but even YouTube, if unless you are watching our videos regularly, you will never see in that column down the side a suggestion for one of our videos, because we're not paying. It literally will not be there. You'll never find an advert for us before anyone else's video, and you will never see in the suggested videos on the right hand side, hey, you liked this song, so you might like this by Blacklist, because we aren't paying. The only way that you get your thumbnails into that list, which looks like it's organically based on what you're watching, is by paying money. It's crazy, and like the cold hard facts of it is we can't afford to just continually pump that money into those channels, because the return is
exactly, because you've got to think about what you're going to spend money on, and yes, advertising is part of it and it needs to be part of it, and YouTube advertising is part of it, and Facebook advertising is part of it, but you've got to make sure you target and spend that money wisely at the right times. So that's the thing. So hopefully that explains some of the answer to your question, Dave, which I think it has based on your comments, which is good, but also probably leaves you with a bit of frustration going that Facebook is putting you bands not because it likes you, it's because those bands may have, or other products may have, paid for to be thrust in front of you, so to speak. What's your top advert at the moment, Will? What do you get the most? Would you get pushed?
My top advert?
Yeah.
I thought you meant like on TV. What's my favourite advert right now? I was getting excited because I wanted to talk about that new Pets at Home advert. It's amazing.
Yeah, that one made me laugh as well, to be fair.
But yeah. I don't know.
I'm trying to think what I get pushed the most.
I've
It's a
got ad
variation.
blocker running on everything, so I tend not to get pushed a great deal.
I get a lot of plectrums, ads. Some guitars, mainly plectrums, and also if I'm on YouTube, just 3,000 guitar systems a minute.
Yeah, I'm sure at the moment.
Do you ever want to shred like this guy? Well, let me tell you that everybody other guy is talking shit. You want to listen to my system, and you'll be shredding like that guy in no time. And then the next guy goes, "Is everyone telling you you've got to do this? That's wrong. You need to learn scales." You know, I get all that crap constantly.
Daff?
I was literally just looking at my Facebook to see what sort of advert, what advert they think is best for me right now. What do you want?
Absolutely.
And it's mainly just audio production stuff, I guess. I had an advert for WeTransfer. I've had a couple of them.
I'm going to scroll my Facebook. I was going to say I'm going to scroll my Facebook app until the first advert comes up, and I'll tell you what it is. And it was literally the second post down.
Right, that took a while.
It was for Ocado.
Okay, there you go. The supermarket.
There you go. I got one for Evans drumheads and drumsticks and whatever.
Drumheads. You just leave the feed.
They just know what I want.
Mine. Right. My first post is Will going live. So there you go, Will. They give me you first.
There you go.
And now I've been followed by attention, various areas where I live. Free, get your roof tiles cleaned for free. So I'm getting a tile cleaning service pushed at me, followed by the BBC News.
My second advert in my feed was for Overwatch, believe it or not.
Oh, come on.
It's like they know me.
That could be worse. That could be worse, right? Oh, there we go. So I got an Andy James one there, who is a guitar player I am genuinely interested in. But annoyingly, it's one of those announcements that are going to announce that something will be announced, and then we'll announce those announcements when those announcements are going to be announced. Facebook's getting a bit saturated with announcing announcements, I think, sometimes at the moment.
It's
you've got to do a little bit of it.
That joke has jumped the shark a little bit now. We need to just leave that one behind. People are like, I'm going to do that funny thing where I acknowledge that I'm announcing the announcement for the announcement. And it's like, just don't do it anymore.
Just announce it, exactly. I love that zombie films. I love the fact that in zombie films the victims run as fast as they can and still get caught by the lumbering ones. It's like Glasgow on a Saturday Night. Nicely summarised. I would agree. There we go. Glasgow on a Saturday Night is the zombie apocalypse. I believe the first zombie movie came out in 1968, The Night of the Living Dead. That movie is amazing. Nice. I've never seen Night of the Living Dead, but I do know obviously the first vampire film was Nosferatu, wasn't it? So maybe that Night of the Living Dead has a similar place in the zombie anoids as Nosferatu does. And then Neil66 says, "Oh, hi Julie, welcome on board. Are you going to mention something very spooktacular happening later this year?"
I mean, we could mention something spectacular.
Which is a segues go. I don't really think, because bear in mind that we've just talked about the fact that we haven't paid to tell everybody that we're doing that. Probably no one's seen it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so maybe nobody knows because it has been quite quiet.
Yeah, so we're playing a gig at the Patriot. Finally, back at the Patriots after a long time away.
Yeah. In over a year it'll be by that point, won't it? I think more than long time.
Yeah.
So we're having a Halloween show on Friday, the 27th of October, with the incredibly named Lesbian Bed Death.
Yes.
It is a double headline show. It is going to be a busy night, and I can guarantee that at least some of us will be definitely taking the opportunity to get into some sort of fancy dress. Scott will be coming as his favourite zombie, I've heard.
I will. Yeah, that is a factual fact. Yep. I will be coming as Will Smith, probably from I Am Legend, maybe. I don't know. I'll think of something. But yeah, I will be fully embracing the Halloweenness, so to speak.
I do love the Blacklist that we're mentioning a gig that's happening in October, and there's still people in the comments saying they've already got their tickets.
Thank you, Debs. We massively appreciate that.
Thanks,
that is
Neil,
so
as well.
Yes, thanks, Neil. If you've already got tickets for that, that's amazing. Thank you. I've got tons of adverts for online exercise subscriptions. I'm really not the most active person either, so it's a huge hint of Facebook has me all wrong. Wow, Shelley, amazing. You got yours and your costume. So again, this is another thing where I feel like a bit of an imposter to the whole rock heavy metal community. I have no real taste for Halloween, and also dressing up just I'm like, ah. But I will dress up because I think everyone somehow thinks you're a bit of a sad sack if you don't. But dressing up's never really been my thing. Yeah, I might come. I don't know. Maybe I'll come. I don't know. I'll think of something that I'm going to come as. It'll be. But I also need to play in it, so it can't be too crazy.
I've got a great idea for a costume for you.
Oh God! Go on. Are you going to share, or do you genuinely think it's that great?
I think it's great. I'm going to just double check see if in my mind's eye is as good as what I think it is. But you talk between yourselves.
Dav, have you got a costume plan for Halloween?
I mean, I'm sort of
dressing up at Halloween, Dav.
I don't very often because I don't often actually get to do anything for Halloween.
Sure, usually working, right?
Yeah, either that or normally my job is to stay downstairs, eat food, watch TV, and then when the trick-or-treaters come knocking, I'll go hand out the sweets and whatever. You know, that's sort of my thing. I like doing that, that's fine. But yeah, I'm normally working. But I think this year I am gonna try. I'm gonna try and see if I can put together a nice like Aussie outfit. I might go as Aussie.
I thought you meant as an Australian. I was like, what, you're going to get a hat with some cork dangling off it, a nice Aussie?
I'll come as a fucking...
Yeah, no, I mean... Yeah, alright, Aussie
You mean Osborne? Yes.
Yeah, Osborne.
I like that Dev said Scott should dress up as James. That's absolutely hilarious.
That's actually a really good shout. Although, I'm not sure I can be that cold.
Just put the coat on. There you go, job done.
I'm not sure I can feel comfortable cold in those there parts.
So I think you should get a bold cap, right? And then come as I can't remember his name, Colonel or Captain something or other. Basically, the dude who's now passed away that was in House of a Thousand Corpses. He's got like the beard going on.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I reckon you could rock that look hard and look terrifying.
Okay, that's good to know what you think of me.
Hey man, check him out. Check him out. I reckon you could do that.
Not really, because he might scare me a little bit. If you have an Alexa and then randomly say strange things and within a short time adverts for this will be in your Facebook. Yes, I was taking garage doors and I don't even have a garage. It is true, Evelyn. It will, when I start you speaking about things in your house, then they will. Captain Spaulding apparently is his name. There you go.
I knew it was Captain or something like that, yeah.
Spaulding is a type of ball, isn't it, as well? Although, ironically, close to the word balding. So Spaulding was balding, I guess, because he had no hair. But yeah, so that is true. Alexa will follow you, and or Siri or any other thing for that matter. I have to ask, because the double headline thing just confuses me. Are you on first or last, and how does this get decided? So, well, Will, do you want to answer that? Do you want me to answer that?
I mean, double headline just means that both bands are going to get the same amount of time on stage. So the last time we did a double headline was Patriot, actually, and that was with South of Salem. So we both played in equal time. That night we played first, South of Salem played last. So obviously, if you think about it as the headliner plays last, then that, you know, traditionally. But in those instances, the reason it's a double headline is because we both get the same amount of time on stage. So irrespective of whether we're the first band or the second band on in October, you'll get the same set from us, which is cool. You know, the other option for a double headliner is we both set up at either end of the Patriots and we play at the same time.
Yeah, indeed. So funny, I think Metallica and Guns N' Roses did a double headline, didn't they? And I think they alternated who went on second and who went on first whole tour. But it normally means that you're expected to have equal sort of impact or stature as well. So yes. So yeah, we will be playing. I'm not sure how long we're playing, so I better not say anything in case it's wrong. But a good while, as you might imagine, as a headline set, it will be a good while. So you'll get a fair bit of Black Lakes-ness. No worries, TJ. Welcome on board. 15 minutes or so or more of the live feed to go. You've missed a good half an hour.
What have I missed? What a question to ask 45 minutes in.
But we are going to revisit Zombie Apocalypse when James and Lee can contribute. That would be loud at the same time. Yes. Kaz, yes. The Patriot, great venue. Can't wait to get that back there, which should be good. I've seen Aerosmith and Kiss as a double headline, but not equal time. Yeah. So somebody said double headline to appease the egos, but the reality is someone getting paid more on that level because they've played longer. So I suspect Kiss probably was allowing Aerosmith to be deemed double headliner, but I suspect Kiss might have got the wedge of that. I think Gene Simmons is known for his humanitarianness and his lack of love of cash.
Of course.
Mm. Sorry, and in case you don't know me very well, I'm known for some fairly dry songs. Dav, you've kind of descended into a world of zombie apocalypse.
No. I was going to say, do you know the story about, was it Sammy Hagar and David Lee Roth's co-headline tour?
No, go on. I'd love to hear this.
So, on the first night of the tour, North American tour, coast to coast, they started in the East Coast and then finished in LA in like a massive arena or whatever, stadium, whatever, I don't know. So on the first night, they flipped a coin to see who would headline first and who would be the co-headline, but first band on. So David Lee Roth, I think, won the coin toss in the first city and headlined the first show. Sammy Hagar, even though he was a bigger pull, graciously accepted the co-headline, but first on sort of thing. You know, battle of the egos, basically. By the time they got to LA, it was Sammy's turn to headline, and this show was going to make Sammy, like, what, 250k or something like that for headlining, and David Lee Roth was going to get, like, 10% of that or whatever it was. So they had to make 2 dates in LA in the same place. One with David Lee Roth headlining, one with Sammy Hagar headlining, because like they couldn't cope with like the egos and whatever.
It's an interesting.
So they ended up
thought
playing
they
twice.
Split the money equally.
Played in a different order. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that money was never split equally. Like, well, Sammy at the time was way bigger than David Lee Roth, even though he was in Van Halen, you know.
Sure. Is that how you decide to flip a coin? Not normally. No, that's not how we roll. We don't. We try not to have too much ego and try and do it for the fans rather than ourselves.
Absolutely.
If I'm honest, you know, we don't really go, oh well, you know, we must do this. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are certain situations where if we were booked on a bill and they said, all right, you're going to go on at this time, and you know these people or bands are above you, like, well, I don't really feel that's the right thing for us at this time, etc., etc. So don't get me wrong. We won't play anywhere for anything, whilst at the same time recognizing that, you know, hey, we go on first, you go on first.
Well,
who cares?
You can see, you know, based on the dates that we pick, where we pick, when we pick, we're obviously a little bit selective about what gigs we'll take on and our reasoning behind that. You know, this is our baby, this is our brand, if you will. You've got to do everything you can to make sure you're doing everything you can. Like, we're not going to take on gigs or lineups that are going to potentially damage or, you know, cost. So there is a business element of it at the end of the day.
And I choose my words very carefully here, Neil. There will be no tossing that I'm aware of on that night.
No cable tossing.
Well, there may be tossing, but there's not tossing I'm aware of.
It'll be up to the venue if we have to toss anyway.
I've got horrible visions of it being a toss-off.
Everyone up here on stage for the toss-off.
Well, yes. Although, to be fair, I'd never heard of the expression lesbian bed death before, so I did have to look it up, so I now know what that means.
Wait, is it an actual expression?
Yeah, it's a real thing, yeah, absolutely.
Go on, teach me.
Do you really want to know now?
Yes.
I mean, it's pretty much exactly as you'd imagine. It's the idea that somewhere along the line, in a lesbian relationship, for whatever reason, the physical element of that relationship can no longer be sustained or doesn't work anymore. So you basically have got to that plateau of there's nothing in sleeping together anymore. But it seems to be specific to a specific type to lesbian relationships only, which I thought was interesting. So I don't know how that works, but I don't
every
really
day is a school day, I suppose.
I'm not a lesbian, but lesbian bed death is a real expression that the lesbian community will use with, oh, how's it going? Oh, I've got lesbian bed death. Oh, no way, dude, etc., etc.
Fair enough.
Yeah, there we are. I mean, if you're going to play with someone, you want to know where they got their name from, right? I mean, I remember playing with a band called The Porn Issue, And I was like, where did you get that name from? They were like, well, it was just on the cover of FHM at the time, the porn issue, and they went with that. Bit of a strange one, but there we are.
Small world that, because the bassist in the porn issue was in my form group at school.
Oh, no way! That's
Yeah,
weird.
man.
That's too small a world. That's too small a world. So you were also involved with the porn issue then, Will?
I actually went to see the porn issue a couple of times.
There we go. Well, we played.
I would never say I was a massive fan, but I did enjoy them, and I went because my mate was on bass.
That's hilarious. We definitely played with the porn issue. James was particularly fond of their song "Right in the Kisser," I think it was called, which had a little trumpet section going boom, diddle right in the kisser.
Right in the kisser. Yeah, great tune.
Pretty much. There we go. So we're giving the porn issue far too much airtime.
Right, that's it. I was going to go with some pun about tossing for the title of this one, but I'm going to go with just the porn issue is the name of this week's broadcast.
Right, so a couple of questions in here. Loz is asking, are you releasing any new music anytime soon? So this is where it gets a bit tricky and horrible. So Dav, when was the last time we were working on new music, mate?
Last night, wasn't it?
So like, when are Black Lakes working on new music? Pretty much all the time, constantly. But in this day and age, unfortunately, you've got to be reasonably careful, because obviously as soon as something gets slightly teased or released, before you know it, it's across the planet, and then there's, by the time you're actually going, here's the single, everyone's heard it and it no longer has any kind of impact. So whilst it might seem like there hasn't been new music coming out, I can assure you there is quite a lot of it. There is quite a lot of it, and it's just about, because at the moment, of course, we are just in the middle of festival season. We're about to do Swansea and then Cambridge later in the month, and then we've got Devon next month, and then we've got Manchester the month after that. So tactically speaking, it's not the right time to put a load of new out, because we're about to hit a load of people that probably wouldn't have even heard the first stuff yet. But it's a horrible thing to say, but I promise new music is coming, and it's fucking awful, and you're all going to hate it.
I would say though that if you are interested in new music, we are road testing songs from the new album. We've so far at different sets in the last year dropped in 2 different songs in various forms that will appear on the new album, and have been talking about what goes in future sets coming soon. There may be a chance that another new song replaces White Cliffs, which has currently been played a few times, just to gauge reaction. So if you are interested in new music, the best place to hear it before you get any of the recorded stuff is to come along to a gig.
And for our American friends, we are thinking about, obviously, the fact that plane tickets from the East Coast or Boston to Manchester, Swansea, etc. is not that easy. So we are thinking about how you can be involved in that process whilst not being able to actually physically get over here, so to speak. So yes.
Yeah, what me and James started and you and me finished the other night is really promising for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we Dav and I were experimenting with a new online platform, basically, which this might sound, again, sorry if we're getting a bit nerdy and a bit boring, but hey, it's a music feed, right? There is a new piece of software or new platform that enables you to share proper audio from within your project on your computer, basically without any latency or without any delay across the internet. Not for the first time, but for the kind of the first time where it's accessible. So in other words, Dav and I can be in 2 separate, completely different places on the planet, and we can listen to the same song at the same time, whilst also seeing it in the computer in the project at the same time. So in other words, you can do proper real-time collaboration on a song remotely for the first time. So that's, the first time for us anyway, because you can always do it before, but it's long-winded and you have to put the track over and then go back to each other. And so yeah, it's quite encouraging that for album 2.
Maybe we should think about ways to let members of the Blacklist drop in on recording sessions that are happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we will be able to do that.
Just not lyric writing sessions, because they'll kill themselves out of frustration.
No, well, I don't know about that. That's just you, Will. You have that beef. It's fine. They love the lyrics.
Well,
No, the only beef I've got is with Emily Blunt.
Exactly. We've made that apparent. And obviously, I'm a zombist, so I've got beef with the zombies. So we're all coming out this evening. Sorry, Dave.
Yeah, sorry. I think at the minute, I don't know. Say if we wanted to, do private sessions with this sort of software. I'm not sure whether it would have to be sort of email invites for everyone, or whether we could do it through OBS, like what we're doing now to stream.
If I'm in it, and then I run my OBS stream, we can probably do it that way, and then broadcast it to either YouTube or directly to www.blacklakes.com, which is something we have been experimenting with, trying to launch live streams direct from our own website. So stay tuned for more on that, he says.
So I hope, Loz, that answers your question, which I know is a bit of a fob. It's so hard, because there's nothing we'd love more than go, here you go, here are the 15, 16, 20, 25 demos that we've got. What do you think? But as soon as you do that, they are gone forever. And there's nothing more you can do. And I'm not saying you wouldn't share them, but that moment of hearing it for the first time would be gone. So I suppose it's a bit like, it's I suppose, comparable to, I remember when I saw The Phantom Menace on a taped VHS from the US about 6 or 7 months before it came out in the UK, back when that you could do that. And it was awful, and the quality was awful.
Yeah, but
and the movie was awful.
At least you had 6 or 7 months ago, and it was probably just that recording that was bad. It wasn't.
That's what I mean. That's exactly what I did. I went, it must have been the recording that made me ruin the film.
It definitely
so
wasn't
I guess
Jar Jar fucking Binks. It was definitely the VHS recording.
Absolutely. So in a similar way, when we want you to hear, when you want to see the movie for the first time, when we want you to hear the song for the first time, is when it's polished, finished, recorded, etc., which must, I'm sure, at your end feel a little bit frustrating, but I'm confident that it'll all be worth the wait in the end. Yes, and that we are literally have absolutely fairly robust plans for what's coming out next and how. We haven't got a definitive when, but I don't think it will be potentially too long. Before we go, because I'm conscious that we're running out of time, live streaming the Halloween Grid, potentially.
That would be cool.
Everyone, understandably, from that side of the pond, loving the idea of live streams, of course, because we want to engage you when you can't necessarily make it physically. But we're also contemplating putting out some variations or differences on the For All You Left Behind record. So just out of a quick interest in the Blacklist, is there a passion, or would you be interested in hearing changed up or different versions of the songs from that record? Is that something that you would be keen on hearing, getting, and going, oh my God, I'd love to hear that song in a different way, or this song in a different way? Let us know in the next sort of couple of minutes if you can. Yeah, indeed, Kaz, I appreciate. Although, to be fair to us, we are moving around a fair bit, because obviously we were only actually played Wales twice this year, because we're doing obviously what's next. Ironically, Swansea, so Wales, but then Cambridge, Devon, Manchester, Southampton, obviously Birmingham. We've just done as well. We haven't even talked about Sharkfest. That was awesome. We should have dedicated. We should have had an entire Blacklist about Sharkfest. It was so great, and we'll do that at some point and say thanks to Mark and all that sort of stuff, because it was amazing. Yeah, potentially, Lars, or something along those lines. Certainly reimagined. So everyone seems popular with that.
Cool. That's good.
Which is good. Yeah, indeed. There were certain songs, I think, for example, like Landslide, that I think potentially might sound particularly great.
James turned up for the last 30 seconds.
Verity in Flames in a country and western style. Do you know what? I'd not considered that. But
That
I actually
sounds
quite
amazing.
That does sound already amazing. I could do a little bit of lap steel on that. I can feel your presence.
Now grab your partner.
Verity in Flames. Noble as she's burning. Amazing. Throat singing, any song. I think Dav can do the Mongolian throat growl. I'm not sure Will can.
I was going to say, if anyone can, Dav can.
Yeah, Dav, do you want to give a little bit of Mongolian throat growl while we're here for a second, please, mate?
Oh no, that'd be embarrassing.
He loves the pressure. You can tell. Put him on the spot. There's nothing he likes more. Look at him cringe. He's like, no. So we're not going to do that. It's fine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, we've not considered a country version of anything. That's quite interesting. Definitely think we've got an electronic version of something in us somewhere. I can definitely hear some version, some kind of industrial version of something somewhere along the way. Definitely. Like going full scale, Ministry or Nine Inch Nails or that'd be pretty cool.
Time is up. That last board that you nailed against your door has just been ripped down by the approaching zombie horde. You've got precious seconds left to say your last words on this godforsaken rock before you're ripped to shreds by the undead. Scott, what are you telling us?
Oh, that is a lot of pressure. Well, I'm currently, I don't know. You have to come back to me.
That's a terrible last word. Come back to me. Come back to me. Oh.
Well, I don't know. Wear rubber. Don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs. Do eat me instead.
Yeah.
Do you have any final thoughts? They don't have to be as dramatic as come back to me, but anything.
I'd say, diamonds are forever, but so is Ric Flair.
Nice. He does seem to wrestle or just exist in perpetuity. I'll agree. Right, I think that's it. And actually, I'd like to point out that our live stream stayed on for an hour. Which is amazing.
Okay. Which is, yeah.
It actually didn't crash this time, which is great.
Wow, marvellous. Yeah.
You know why that is, don't you?
I don't know. Well, I do know why.
Nobody mentioned soup.
When's